was watching Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer series at home, and I felt sick to my stomach. This was around midnight. Then, a few minutes went by and I felt like going to 7-Eleven to grab a hot chocolate. As I drove and parked my car in the parking lot, I saw a creepy blonde-haired guy who looked to be around 30, 5'8", standing right in front of the door. I was worried, but brushed it off. I then tried entering from the side, going inside the 7-Eleven, but the tall guy was just blocking the door. At this point, I didn't care about his looks or how attractive he seemed to be because I thought in my head, that's how psychos look. They look charming and have bad intentions or motives. However, stupidly, I said in a pleasing voice, "I'm sorry," and nudged him to move. He just smiled in a weird way and said,
"I'll be waiting outside."
I just got my stuff, and as I ran to my car, even though I have asthma and it was hard, I didn't want to take any risks of being killed, so I ran. As I ran, he kept saying,
"Hey, I'm a good man, I swear to God. Why are you running now?"
The guy was heading to my car in such a slow pace, left hand in one pocket, and the right hand gestured and made a shh sound to his lips. He was 3 feet away, and then came up quickly and was about to open my door. I quickly locked it before he came close, and then I showed him my middle finger. He tried opening the fucking door and was banging on the window. I sped off like a maniac. I was shaking, literally, and was about to cry, but I didn't want to seem weak, and I headed to the highway. He was following me, fast, and I quickly went someplace else, exited the highway faster. This was the decision when I felt threatened. I should have went somewhere else. I should have not drove a higher speed limit over the highway, or I could have been stopped. Why the fuck didn't I think of that? Fuck. I did call the cops and gave all the info about this man, and then I drove further away. Then I went to a populated place, the mall, parked my car in the parking lot. I ran into the mall. I stayed sitting on a bench. After an hour had passed by, I looked around carefully, and I didn't see him. I think I accidentally manifested something evil while watching the series, without knowing or manifesting it later. I'm not watching creepy, gruesome killer stuff anymore. I'm scared and paranoid. After that, I told my older sister about it. She told me I'm delusional or hallucinating ever since I saw the series. I've been feeling so much anxiety about it. This happened a few nights ago, or I guess even a week ago now. I can't go to my favorite gas station at night anymore, and I basically avoid it in the day too. I mean, it already started getting sketchy about 6 months ago, but now it's just out of control. Before I get into this, please know I'm not judging people who struggle with addiction in general, but at the same time, I am about to pass judgment on somebody who is very likely on drugs. If that offends you, just remember, they're not the ones who walked away with scratches. I usually hit up this gas station every night after my shift. I'm a bartender who works down at the waterfront, and my last shift ends around 11:30. I get to this place a bit before midnight. I grab my drinks, my jewels, maybe some Skittles, and then I'm out. Well, about a week ago, it didn't go half as smooth. I got in okay, grabbed my goods, though no Skittles this time, just a blue Powerade and my jewels. It was getting out of there that gave me trouble. I never even saw anyone near the store, not when I had pulled up. But heading out to my car, I see tucked on the side of the building are 2 or 3 guys smoking. I don't know what they're smoking, it's none of my business, so whatever. I fiddle for my keys, and I hear someone right up in my space speak into my left ear. They're close as fuck to my face, and I'm frozen for a split second before I whip around, asking what the fuck is going on and telling them to back up. It registers with me that the guy said, "You smoke dope?" To which I'm answering him now, "I don't smoke dope. Now back up." I realize that he doesn't look armed and his hands aren't in his pockets, so I feel comfortable continuing to open my car door to get the fuck out of there. Then, a hand slams my door shut as I barely get it opening. His angry, sluggish voice lets out a sharp, "Bitch," followed by one of those weird-ass, loud whistles. I see the 3 or so guys on the side start to make their way over to where I'm standing. Before they even take a few steps, I'm whipping around to push the man away from me. He barely moves, his hand only lifting off the car for a moment, but I'm running out of time before these 3 dudes surround my car. Before I can swing on him with my bag of goods, he presses my shoulder against the car, and it wasn't a gentle nudge either. It's funny though, I didn't think to scream. I had this moment where I thought, no one's going to give a fuck if I start screaming. I knew that the man that worked at the gas station at this time was so old, like barely hanging on for life, and man couldn't hear shit. The only other people around at the time are the group of men I'm trying to avoid. I go to knee him in the balls, and like some sort of Matrix junkie, he swings his hips backwards, causing my knee to miss his junk. But he's pissed and almost distracted, enough to where I was able to smack his arm away and grab my car door handle, unpin my shoulder. I'm now trying to put the bag of goods between me and this fucker. I open the door slightly, and while part of me wants to reach my arm through the small crack that's open, I don't want this man to push me or the door, suddenly crushing my hand or worse. But doing nothing causes the man to grab my free arm, gripping it hard with his dirty hand, fingernails digging into my forearm, and for the first time I yelled out. As I'm screaming for the guy to let the fuck go, 2 other guys attempt to open the passenger side door. I say fuck it, and I use all my strength with my other arm to pry the door open, kicking the man's leg to push him away. Then, the 3rd man of the group joins this guy, grabbing my arm. I use my foot to kick him in the balls. I make contact and he falls. He loosens the grip, and it causes the man to loosen slightly, and I take that chance to remove my arm. I can't get it entirely free, but I've gotten the door open. I've launched myself into the driver's seat, and I keep pulling, but he hasn't fully let go. I grab my steering wheel for leverage, and I pull. With one painful yank, I feel the man's nails dig and scrape into my skin as I pull. And then, I'm free. He quickly tried to put his hand back in to grab anything, but I quickly slammed the door on his hand, opening it only slightly for him to remove it. Now, all of the men were on the driver's side, but I've got all of the doors locked. I practically was crying the whole way out of the parking lot and home, but I wasn't going to go home. These were angry tears. I was so fucking pissed that these guys had scared me away from my favorite gas station, that it was almost so much worse, that I had these fucking disgusting scratches on my arm to remind me of this for God knows how long. Before going home, I drove to the police station to file a proper report. I had them take photos of my arm. I explained what happened, when and where, but I also described each of the men in detail. I told the police I didn't want to stick around to see if they were there still, but I urged them to keep an eye on that gas station and an eye out for these men. Truthfully, I have no idea what their intentions were. All I know is that when someone puts their hands on you, invades your space, and has like power in numbers, that shit's terrifying. I still drive by occasionally, sometimes before work, sometimes after. It may not be those guys, not all of them anyway, but the place isn't looking too safe these days. The side of the building is sketchy, and it's sad. I filed a report because if any other woman or human has to experience that shit, I'm gonna know that it's because the police failed them. Someone who could do something about it failed them, not me.